being disrespectful, but they talked a lot of trash and they got humbled. And I think that that's okay. That is sports. That is what we.
The Las Vegas Aces came into this WNBA season with high expectations. As reigning champions, they had a star-studded roster, including 4 Olympians and A'ja Wilson, the unanimous MVP.
We did pretty well. Like, it wasn't our outcome, but damn, we did pretty good. Considering what the hell we had to stack me, we're blessed. I get to play the game of basketball, get paid while I do it. I'm around phenomenal women, just like, it's a fun thing. So hopefully no one hurts for me. We're gonna wake up.
Yet, despite the talent and the accolades, the Aces' journey came to an abrupt and disappointing end when they failed to reach the WNBA Finals. This unexpected turn of events left fans, analysts, and critics asking the same question: what went wrong? And beyond the on-court struggle, off-court drama added even more fuel to the narrative surrounding the Aces and their MVP, A'ja Wilson. Coming into the playoffs, the Las Vegas Aces were heavily favored. Their roster boasted Olympic-level talent, including Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, and Wilson. The unanimous MVP award given to Wilson seemed to solidify her place as the league's top player, making her the face of a team that many believed would easily dominate their way to a back-to-back championship. But what was supposed to be a smooth path to victory turned out to be a challenging road that saw the Aces get knocked out of the playoffs before reaching the finals. The playoff exit was a shock, not just because of the Aces' early elimination, but because it made Wilson the first unanimous MVP in WNBA history to not reach the championship series. It's a record that, instead of adding to her impressive resume, casts a shadow over an otherwise stellar season. For a player of Wilson's caliber, the inability to deliver when it mattered most was seen as a significant blemish on her legacy. Beyond the on-court struggles, Wilson found herself at the center of a media storm due to comments she made earlier in the season. During an interview, Wilson expressed concerns about the way Caitlin Clark, a rising star from Iowa, was being promoted by Nike. Clark had gained immense popularity for her explosive style of play, and her presence in the basketball world brought increased attention to women's sports. However, reports suggested that Wilson believed Clark was being given opportunities that others, especially black players, often had to fight harder for. Wilson's comments were perceived by many as an attack on Clark's rising popularity. This drew criticism, with some accusing Wilson of gatekeeping the league from a player who could help expand its visibility. Others, however, felt Wilson was raising a valid point about the systemic advantages that some players receive based on their background. Yet, as the season progressed and Clark's influence continued to grow, Wilson's remarks began to backfire, especially when Clark maintained her poise despite the scrutiny. Caitlin Clark's rise as a fan favorite in the world of basketball was no fluke. Despite playing at the collegiate level, her skill set, charisma, and thrilling performances drew large audiences, including new fans who had not previously followed women's basketball. Clark's presence brought a fresh energy to the game, and her name became synonymous with excitement on the court. Even when her own playoff run ended in disappointment due to foul trouble and injuries, her appeal remained intact. In the aftermath of Clark's elimination, a telling shift occurred. Viewership for the WNBA playoffs saw a noticeable decline. Many attributed this drop to Clark's absence, suggesting that she was the primary draw for many fans. The Aces, despite featuring big names like Wilson, Plum, and Gray, could not maintain the same level of interest. This dynamic underscored Clark's unique ability to captivate audiences, a quality that no amount of awards or accolades could replicate for Wilson or her team. The timing of Wilson's comments about Clark couldn't have been worse. As Clark's star continued to rise, the Aces began to struggle. Some critics and fans speculated that Wilson's remarks had set off a chain of events that ultimately hurt her own standing within the league. The perception that Wilson was attempting to diminish Clark's rise contributed to a narrative that she was more focused on the politics of the game than her own performance on the court. Adding to the drama, head coach Becky Hammon made comments suggesting that the Aces were too distracted by their celebrity status, possibly alluding to the controversies surrounding Wilson and other team dynamics. For a team with such high expectations, the internal distractions seem to take a toll on their on-court chemistry. This created further tension as critics began questioning whether Wilson, despite her MVP credentials, had the leadership qualities necessary to steer the team through challenging moments. While A'ja Wilson's off-court drama unfolded, Breanna Stewart made her presence known on the court. Stewart, another MVP candidate, faced off against Wilson during the playoffs, and the matchup highlighted a stark contrast between the two stars. Stewart consistently elevated her game, proving to be the deciding factor in their head-to-head battles. Her ability to perform under pressure stood in direct contrast to Wilson's struggles during crucial moments. This wasn't just about a few standout games. Stewart's dominance over Wilson became a recurring theme throughout the series. Where Wilson faltered, Stewart thrived, showing the ability to carry her team through tight spots and deliver when it counted most. For fans and analysts, Stewart's playoff performance reinforced the idea that MVP awards mean little if they don't translate into postseason success. And in this context, Stewart's performance solidified her reputation as a player who shines brightest when the stakes are highest. The Aces' unexpected playoff exit has left lingering questions about Wilson's role as a leader. When a team with as much talent as the Aces fails to deliver, the spotlight inevitably falls on its star player. Wilson's 19-point performance in their elimination game was solid by most standards, but not for someone expected to carry her team in do-or-die situations. Her struggles to rally the Aces when they needed her most stood in stark contrast to her regular season dominance. Fans and critics began to wonder if Wilson's MVP title was hollow, given the team's lack of postseason success. For a player who had made history as the first unanimous MVP in the WNBA, failing to reach the finals seemed to undermine the significance of that accolade. The debate over the true value of individual awards versus team success came to the forefront, and it cast a shadow over what should have been a career-defining season for Wilson. A'ja Wilson's struggles in the playoffs, contrasted with the rise of Caitlin Clark and Breanna Stewart's consistent excellence, have signaled a shift in the dynamics of the WNBA. The season highlighted a generational transition, with new players like Clark drawing fans and reshaping the narrative around women's basketball. Clark's ability to keep fans engaged, even during her own playoff exit, suggested that the league is on the cusp of a new era, one where traditional star power is no longer the only draw. This shift was evident in how fans perceived the Aces' disappointing end to the season. While Wilson and her team had been celebrated just a year prior, their struggles this season, coupled with off-court controversies, made them a target for criticism. In contrast, Clark's grace under pressure and her ability to generate buzz even from the sidelines made her a symbol of what's next for the league. As the Aces head into the off-season, they face a period of uncertainty. It's unlikely that the same group of players will return next season, given the challenges they faced and the changes that may be needed. There's speculation that key players like Kelsey Plum could seek new opportunities, potentially leaving behind a roster that, while talented, couldn't achieve its ultimate goal. For Wilson, this means an off-season filled with introspection and the need to rebuild her reputation as a leader on and off the court. Wilson's comments about Clark, which once seemed like a small controversy, have now become a significant part of the narrative around her season. Whether she can move past this and reclaim her status as the league's top player will depend on her ability to learn from this experience and focus on what happens on the court. As for the Aces as a team, they will need to address the chemistry issues that plagued them and find a way to harness their talent more effectively. Ultimately, this season has left a complex legacy for A'ja Wilson and the Aces. Wilson's unanimous MVP award was a historic achievement, but it now feels tainted by the team's early playoff exit and the off-court drama that surrounded her. For fans who tuned in to see the best of women's basketball, the season ended in disappointment, as the team that was expected to dominate couldn't live up to the hype.